Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Episode 300.
Finally.
I thought we'd be dead by now. 300.
I'm surprised we're both alive.
We'll see what the over-under is on how many Sparta references we make at 300. But big milestone, man. I mean, and that's just 300. We've done over 700 total, like YouTube videos and stuff like that. But it's just only 300 full episodes that like make podcasts. Basically, just big show that comes out on Thursdays and post-game shows. That's basically it.
Yeah, man. When we first started this, I didn't know how long it would last, but still keep trucking along. Keep trucking along.
I think it's something like podcasts, like 80% of them stop after like 4 episodes or something like that. It's like, nope, we're dragging this corpse across the finish line. We don't know where the finish line is.
This horse has been dead for I don't know how long. Let's keep kicking.
We're grabbing it. We're dragging it across. So, and it wouldn't be possible without all you guys watching and listening. I mean, if we were just talking to each other, I mean, that's basically what we did before. But we appreciate every single one of you guys for sticking around. Some of you guys have been around for over 200. Like a good chunk of you've been around a long time. So sound off if you're an OG Windbag because you're out there and we appreciate you.
Oh man, those first probably 50. We were filming with a potato, I think.
We had just like
really
just like the camera on my old laptop. I didn't know how to do like
same
boundaries, names, edit video. It's just like let's just talk into our computer. We're just like yelling at our computer, let it on.
Oh god. I look back on those, I'm like, how did we get any freaking subs?
We looked like we were in a soap opera because it was like that hazy, blurry color, you know, like there's like slow zoom on a love scene in 80s soap opera, like everything was shot like that. Not the modern technology that you see now. How epic we are.
Freaking I remember it was an episode with Cub Swanson. Oh god, that video was awful.
Because I was in Abu Dhabi, he was like in his hallway, you were in like your living room, and it's just we're just like, oh, we got Cub, this is great, and like trying to make it all nice. It just looks like garbage,
dog shit.
Yeah, so congrats to us. Cool.
We're us.
Woohoo. The big news this week, and make no mistake, this is massive for many, many reasons. There's so many things we have to unpack with this story. I would say even there's more to unpack with this story than the Pete Carroll hiring, and we'll explain as we go along. Well, this is a big deal. Chip Kelly, offensive coordinator for the Raiders. The Raiders, with the signing of Pete Carroll as head coach, it's always important to nail your coordinators, but it was extra important to nail your coordinators, and we did. Retaining Patrick Graham, he got a bump. Got Chip Kelly, lured him over from college ranks at Ohio State, where just won a natty, and now he's here for the Raiders. There is so much to get to with this hiring, Soto. I don't even know where to begin.
Let's just start with the fact that he was hired. I think we need to start with the fact that we got 2 guys that are respected in the NFL, that have a track record of doing good things, and that the Spytek Carroll combo did what they said they were going to do. They went out there, get the best coaches they could find. It's a mix of guys they've coached with before, guys who've never coached with before, guys who are already on the staff. He's done that. So, yeah, man, it's refreshing. It's refreshing when there's a clear plan and the plan is actually being followed. Like, for example, last season, AP's talking about how he wants to be smash mouth and run the football, and then you don't sign your running back and you don't do really much for your offensive line. Doesn't match up. And the moves are matching the talk.
I had a little Mark Davis rant a couple shows ago, and this whole, Mark Davis just wants to win. He wants to win. It's like, well, he's doing a shitty job of it. Ever since he became owner, like ever since he became controlling owner, he's done a terrible job. I don't care what he wants or feels. I want results. I want action. And he owes it to Raider Nation. He owes it to sacrifice and do so. You're raking in all this money in that new stadium. You're raking in all this money moving to Las Vegas, the most expensive seat in football. It's $350 to get a bucket of wings in a VIP room. It's like, you motherfucker, like, you owe it to us. We are paying out the nose to be fans of your franchise that your dad handed to you begrudgingly. What are you doing about it? This is a message from Mark Davis that he's putting his money where his mouth is, literally. Chip Kelly's getting $6 million a year, the highest paid coordinator in football. That is ridiculous. Like, we'll get to like what other owners think and stuff like that, right? But if Chip Kelly's getting $6 million, what's Vic Fangio worth? 20 million? Like, Mark Davis is, and he gave Patrick Graham a bump. He is overpaying his coordinators, which is great because it's not part of the salary cap. What do we care, right? He's like, I'm literally putting my money where my mouth is.
The two other big wigs out there, they're all kind of pooling their money together.
Well, that's my point, right? Like, he got the influx of cash from all the other, selling off chunks of ownership. So he's sitting on all this cash and he's using it. He could easily just put it in his pocket. Hey, add to my, put in some mutual funds. Like, it's his money. Like, he could literally do whatever he wants with it, right? Because remember, forever it was like the poor franchise in the NFL were the Raiders and the Bengals. It's like they just didn't have money to do anything. Those days are over. Mark Davis is making money, and he's injecting it into football. And he's doing it like he's at the strip club throwing hundreds in the air, making it rain. Like, he is overpaying where you're allowed to overpay to make this team better, because he's telling Raider Nation, and I've been so hard on Mark Davis, and I think I should have been harder, but he has clearly in the last 18 months turned a corner. He's like, I'm going to bring Tom Brady in on the cheap. I'm going to sell to strategic business partners, and I'm going to dump all this new cash into making this team as good as possible. Like, we got two coordinators that were sought after highly. Why? Just overpaid them, and Tom Brady convinced them. Like, this is I don't want to, it's Chip Kelly, right? There's some better ones out there. There's some worse ones out there. We'll get to his strength. He's good. But, but what this signifies, Soto, is enormous. And for the first time in probably ever, I'm looking at Mark Davis and I'm saying, all right, you finally put your money where your mouth is. And you're doing what you're saying. You care about winning, and you will pay to make it happen.
I think the influence of Tom Brady and just the clarity that he brought. I think finally Mark Davis understands the slogan, just win, baby. Mm-hmm. I think he understands it now. I think he was so stuck on trying to do things the quote unquote Raider way, do things a little bit different, do things your own way, come from within, right? Like always promote from within. Is this a Raider guy? Is this a Raider hire?
Coming from within is how my wife got pregnant.
So bad.
See, when a man and a woman love each other, Soto, you're the one that said it. Mm-hmm. But no, I'm with you. I'm and like everything aligned at the right time, right? Brady came in for some clarity. Money came in for him to spend stuff. The move from Las Vegas was the first thing to raise the coffers. Like, all the stars kind of aligned at the same. And again, is it like can we guarantee it's all going to work? Who knows? But for the first time ever, Soto, I can say Mark Davis is making sacrifices and overpaying, and giving away part of his family legacy to make it better. And I appreciate actionable sacrifice that backs what your words are. And that's what Mark Davis is doing.
Well, we don't have to squint, right? We don't have to squint at a Luke Getsy. Well, maybe if this happens, maybe if this, maybe if that. No, we don't have to squint with Chip.
It wasn't
Kelly.
His fault the Bears sucked. It just,
maybe it was Justin Fields, maybe it was this and that. No, it was Luke Getsy. He sucks. And we don't have to squint. And we've had to squint at a lot of different moves, and we've had to look at it with our freaking Raider goggles on and try to this is why this is a good move, or this is why that's a good move. You don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to do that, because the moves that they're making now, they're smart, they're calculated, they all make sense. They're very linear. Like they're progressing towards something, and that something is what they want to do. Pete Carroll, he wants to win now. He doesn't have time. He doesn't have time to do 2-3 years. He needs to win right now. And it's going to be pretty fun come free that first wave of free agency. We're going to see, strategically how they're going to handle this.
This reminds me when UCLA hired Chip Kelly, because forever UCLA was just getting whatever cheap guy they could at coach. Like, oh, New Heisley coached here. Oh, he played here. Let's just get the guy that kind of fits and it's easy, right? And Chip Kelly was the they went to the, some big donors. They wrangled up some cash. They really sought after and outbid other teams for Chip Kelly's services. Now, it didn't work out because Chip Kelly's not a good head coach. He hates recruiting. He's terrible at staffing. He just wants to be in his nerdery doing nerd stuff, doing offense, which is great. That's all we need him to do as offensive coordinator. So this reminds me of that. It didn't work out because he's not a head coach, but hiring Chip Kelly was a signal. It is no longer business as usual. We are going to stretch. We are going to be uncomfortable. We're going to sacrifice to get guys that we want. And a $6 million offensive coordinator, it proves sacrifice. No doubt about it.
So I don't know that Chip Kelly, I think the influence of Pete Carroll is going to really stabilize, and hopefully it kind of opens Chip Kelly's eyes to the fact that, yeah, maybe I should just be a coordinator. I've had a couple of shots in the NFL. Hasn't worked out. I left UCLA because the transfer portal thing, I don't like recruiting anyway. I don't want to have to re-recruit my own players.
Who demotes themselves from head coach to OC? That never happened.
I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of all the games. I just want to coach. I just want to coach offense. That's all I want to do. So he goes to Ohio State, wins the championship. All right. Now he's back in the NFL, I think, where he wants to be, where the money's a little bit better. Maybe have a little bit more control over who plays for you, right? Instead of just the kind of 1-year deals in college. I think this is where he wants to be. And as long as he's successful, I think he's going to stay there.
Also, and that was my other point too, is, when you have a head coach that's not his own coordinator, right? Losing your coordinators is going to happen if you have success, right? And when you have an offensive coordinator in Chip Kelly who, fell on his face multiple times as head coach and doesn't seem like he wants to be head coach, you can keep him, right? If we have an amazing offense, they're going to try to poach Chip Kelly, and he should stay because he certainly seems like he doesn't want a head coach anymore. So, amazing situation for us. A couple other things on this. The other owners have to be so pissed. You're going to pay your OC $6 million. God damn it. What the fuck? Yeah. We're going to start outbidding you guys. Sorry. You charge $570 a ticket at your stadium and try to keep up with us. I want to be the Dodgers. I want to be just out. The salary cap is the salary cap, but everything else, I want to be the Dodgers. We're just going to outspend everybody. This isn't supposed to be fair. This is war. Whatever we can overpay for, we will to be better. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be we had to overpay for free agents to come because we weren't a quote unquote desirable franchise. So we got the guys on the way down, I mean, as a coach, your lifespan, your working lifespan is much longer than a player. So Chip Kelly can coach, well after Pete Carroll decides to, or do I say Chip Carroll? Chip Kelly can coach much further or much longer.
Legally, you're adopted by Pete Carroll if you become his OC. So he's Chip Kelly.
I would agree with that.
And Patrick Carroll.
He's going to be able to implement what he wants, how he wants it done. Maybe not exactly how he wants to coach it. That's going to be kind of a Uncle Pete type of thing. Like, hey, ease up on this and just relax on that type of thing. But as far as the offense goes, I don't really see a lot of input from anybody else other than Chip Kelly, really just designing what he wants.
And that's always been the one thing Chip's been good at, right? It hasn't been this motivational guy. He was a terrible recruiter. He's terrible as a GM. He's kind of like a John Gruden. It's like, just let him handle the offense and you'll have a good offense. But once he starts dabbling in other stuff, and that was like, for a split second, I had a concerns like, all right, if you're getting $6 million as an OC, you can walk into those GM meetings, scouting meetings, and kind of swing your dick around a little bit and get your way. But he's not gonna be able to do that with Pete Carroll.
No,
not gonna happen with Pete Carroll and Tom
that
Brady. And
already been had.
Yeah, like he could like, all right, what do you want? Like, what do you think, Chip? Like, you want like this guy over that guy? What do you think's best? He's like, okay, we will definitely take that under consideration, and now we're gonna decide what we do. If we had like a first time, even like maybe a Ben Johnson or something. Obviously, they're offensive coordinators, but if we had like a first time head coach, maybe Chip could bully him a little bit and get his way, which he's proven not to be good at when it comes to personnel. With Pete Carroll, Tom Brady, hey, we're a team. We'll take what you want under advisement. What do you like? And then we're going to make the decision from there. So it's a nice kind of ecosystem, I think, for keeping someone with a $6 million salary from overstepping what he's good at.
I mean, it makes sense. And honestly, like, I think just the transparency of the contract and just of the situation was probably a there was a heftier dose of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're getting paid a lot of, you're getting paid a good amount of money because we want you to be here and we want you to implement your offense. The conversations about issues with personnel and things like that, I think those have already been had. Give me a list of what you need, throw some names on there, and we'll go from there. And if we don't get what you need, and then just we'll do your best, and we'll keep working on it. And honestly, as an offensive coordinator, doesn't have any personnel decisions. That's really all you can ask for. You should ask to be heard. And I think all these coordinators and all these coaches have enough experience to be able to at least have a seat at the table. Maybe not towards the front, but have a seat and have some input, if not say. And I mean, honestly, I would. Chip Kelly knows what he needs to run his offense properly. I mean, even at Ohio State, he didn't have everything he needed. Will Howard is not mobile enough to run a true Chip Kelly offense, but he made it work. And I mean, what does that say for Aiden O'Connell? I don't know.
Well, this Ohio State team, like, look, the obvious knock, if you will, on Chip Kelly was like, you have Ohio State, you have like the best, you have a top 3 roster in college football. Of course you won. It's like, okay, well, yeah, like I get it. Like he ran zone in UCLA because you're UCLA going against Big Ten opponents. Like you got to scheme a little bit. With Ohio State, you're like, oh, we have 3 NFL players on our O-line. We're going to run power. We're just going to be better than you. And it worked, right? But the Will Howard one, I think, is a great example of how he's so opposite. Chip Kelly's so opposite of Josh McDaniels or Getsy, where it's like, this is my system, do it. He's flexible. He's got a lot of ingenuity. Like he's no longer just the up-tempo guy, right? Like he was in Oregon. He's changed. Like, his press conference was we're recording this Wednesday afternoon. The press conference just a few hours ago. He's like, yeah, man, like the rules are different in the NFL and times have changed. And, it's like it was really, really insightful where he's talking about how like with practice times and now it's like a 16-game college football schedule. You can't just out-snap our offense like we did in Oregon anymore. Guys like gas out at the end of games and late in seasons. And so he's not just this like system guy. And I think the Will Howard is a great example of that, where I don't have a running quarterback. He threatens the run. Like Will could run, even though he's not a quote unquote running quarterback. She's like, all right, we'll make that adjustment. I'll have a guy that can threaten the run if you let him, but I don't have to do my run offense through him. And that's another great example is ingenuity. I can win a national championship with a great offense with a quarterback that doesn't exactly fit my system.
Yeah, and a couple of the kind of telling signs of Chip Kelly's system is the fact that he doesn't have a lot of plays. He has a lot of tags where you can run different plays off of the same play, but that just kind of goes to the flexibility of the offense. You can have an RPO and an actual like straight run called, but then you can tag it to a pass play, or you can flip the play without flipping the formation to a different play. It's very difficult for defenses to fool a quarterback because they don't know exactly what they're going to get. they don't know exactly what's going to come at them. So they have to kind of show their hand a little bit. So more often than not, when you face a Chip Kelly team, the defense's kind of post-snap snapshot matches the pre-snap read. And they have to be a little bit more basic because they're known. Like what we've been talking about, and I was screaming about with Josh McDaniels, like run different shit out of the same formation. Why do you like if we can tell at home what you're going to run by the formation and the personnel groupings, it's just too obvious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Chip Kelly's the exact opposite of that. He could run maybe a couple of sets the entire game, but have a bunch of different plays run off of the same stuff. And that's what makes it a little bit more difficult. And that's another telling sign of a Chip Kelly offense, because it's not difficult to implement his offense because his playbook isn't super huge, but to get good at the tags and know what to do in certain situations, yeah, that is a little bit more difficult.
I'm 80% sure that Chip is going to get our run game vastly improved, but I'm 100% sure he's going to make the run game a lot more fun. Like Matt Holder of Tape Don't Lie was on Twitter just kind of like dissecting like individual plays, and I was just kind of going through them. It's like, dude, he did this like he would do a shift of both tight ends to one side, and then he'd motion the other way, so it gets the D line crashing on the wrong direction. He had this one play against Ohio State where it was like a fake outside power, but it turned into a zone where like the fullback just went straight to the end and just like obliterated this end. But the running back would take like a hard step and then just come like a straight zone down the middle. And you saw number 41 of Penn State just like lost. I watched him just like, oh, he's gonna make this big play. Where is it? Like you could hear his feet say "holy shit" as he was like running around and lost. He did this like reverse of that. He did like a fake zone down the middle, like it was like a RPO. The DN comes crashing, then he pitched it to a running back. Like it is so fun. Like I think it's going to work. Who can predict these things? We've gotten really excited about stuff before. It hasn't worked out, but the run game is going to be so fun to watch.
But we don't have to squint. We don't have to squint to say, okay, yeah, this can work if this happens. No, his offense is going to be much better than what we've had. And that goes along to a lot of the things that we've been talking about. I just talked about the whole formations and sets thing and personnel groupings with Josh McDaniels, but also just being more like varied and not being so predictable and going against your tendencies. That's what Chip Kelly always doesn't have tendencies because he runs a bunch of different stuff and it looks like one thing, but it's something completely different. And as long as we can stay tight, and that's why he has such a big offensive staff. That was the reason why he wasn't our offensive coordinator last season, was because AP already had a huge freaking staff, like 32 coaches. Well, Chip Kelly has a huge offensive staff that he brings along with him because he needs them to implement his offense. And, I think that if it improves the offense the way I think it can, I think it's well worth it.
Well, Greg Olson's staying. He'll be quarterback coach. Third stint with the Raiders now. I like him as quarterback coach. OC, obviously, it was, questionable at best. I think he's very respected as a quarterback coach. We talked run game. Let's talk quarterback. I think that if there's one big loser in all this, it's Aiden O'Connell, because I don't know if he's the type of quarterback. There's we're high on Aiden O'Connell. Want him to be our backup for a long time. He could start for us if need be. I want him to be a Raider for the next 10 years. In this system, you got to at least threaten the run, like at least be able to like potentially run, and he's not. So if he survives this regime, it'll be pretty impressive. But it seems like there's one loser in all this. It's the Aiden O'Connell fans.
The one thing going for Aiden O'Connell is I am convinced 100% he's going to be the quarterback that has the offense and all the tags down the quickest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he can stick around by being that kind of brain to lean on, and more of also a coach as a player. The issue that we're going to have is not only is he not a mobile quarterback, he's slow. So, I mean, Will Howard isn't a mobile quarterback either, but he's able to do some things. And a lot of the kind of the way that it's so effective, as a Chip Kelly offense is so effective, is he's able to do anything out of any formation, and the RPO is a big staple of his offense. And if you can't do that, if that's just taken away, it takes away a big chunk of the deception. I feel for Aiden O'Connell, because I think that he's done everything that's been asked of him to the best of his ability. But where is that ability? Where does that ability tap out? Yeah. And or top out? And I think that we're seeing that just the lack of athletic ability, the lack of athleticism, is going to really hinder him in this offense. And we're going to see maybe a quarterback who isn't maybe as talented, or really maybe as has a high football IQ as Aiden O'Connell does, but is able to run more of the offense, is going to be able to run the offense a lot more efficiently than Aiden O'Connell, who can't really take advantage of a lot of what makes the Chip Kelly offense, so impactful.
And like another thing he's got going for him is he's clearly proven that he can grasp a new offense quickly. Like, this will be his 5th OC in barely 3 seasons. Like, his 5th OC in barely 3 seasons. Poor guy.
That was one of the big things coming out of college when we first talked about him before even the draft or the combine even, is he's a smart kid. He goes in there, he works hard, and he knows the playbook front and back. And he's done well for himself. And I understand there's still a little bit of a crowd out there that give Aiden O'Connell a shot and this and that. This is just not the system for him, unfortunately. It just really isn't. We need someone a little bit more mobile, if not a running quarterback, someone who can move a little bit. Aiden O'Connell, he can't even get sacked good. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can't even fall down right without hurting himself. And can he come in a pinch? Sure, I think he can. And I think that having an Aiden O'Connell come in to a game when the defense is used to a more mobile quarterback could actually bode well for him in the short term. In the long term, the tendencies are going to be a little bit more apparent, and they're going to shine out a little bit more, and he'll be a little bit easier to defend. But he's definitely smart enough to be the lead guy, and one of the guys that's going to be able to kind of, because I said this, I think, was it last week, or I think it was last week. Chip Kelly can win you games offensively, even if you don't have the right talent, just because the system is so good, and it does fool defenses a lot. Usually it's the other way around. Usually it's like, and the big, like the really high powered offenses in the league, most of them, they fool defenses. You talk about Ben Johnson, you talk about the motion offenses that they have with
Shanahan, Kingsbury, go this way, go that way.
Dolphins, like, you have all these. Usually it's defense that fools the quarterback, and that's how they're successful. But these offenses fool defenses, and you can win a lot with that, even if you don't have the ceiling of talent that you need at certain positions.
Farva can make 90% of the throws. You know what I'm saying? Especially in a chip where it's not like an air raid where you got to be hitting these like 15-yard posts. They'll air it out every now and then. I think they did it mostly in because you had a 19-year-old wide receiver that was uncoverable.
That guy's so freaking good.
Just run and beat your guy. Well, we'll have Howard close his eyes and throw in that direction. He'll come down with it, right? Like,
just throw it up there, man.
Just throw it. But like Farva can make, fake screen out that way, bubble screen this way.
Farva can make every throw in a Chip Kelly system.
Yeah,
he can make every throw that's asked of him in that system. The problem is he becomes a lot more predictable because he can't move. He can't move the way that. Let me walk.
You can't unlock the potential of the run game with a stationary.
Yeah, you can't, and even the pass game, because the RPO game is huge on Chip Kelly. Mm-hmm. It really. Think of all those short passes that the tight end that will remain nameless that he catches when linebackers or safeties break off and want to tackle Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
that's what Chip Kelly's offense does, but it's baked into the offense. It's like it's supposed to happen. We're supposed to influence this one guy. This is the guy that we're attacking on this play, this one specific defensive player. And if you don't, if the linebacker can kind of hold off a little bit because he knows you're not going to outrun him. It doesn't work as well, and it doesn't work. And I'm not saying that he's not going to make the team or he's going to get traded or anything like that, but he's going to fight a really uphill battle trying to get some snaps under him in this offense.
Well, he's not going anywhere, right? He's 2 years into 4-year rookie deal, so he's not going anywhere. But is he going to be part of the long-term plans or not? He has a whole new challenge ahead of him. As if enough shit hasn't been thrown far of his direction. Now he has to be like, oh, now I'm in a system that needs me to run the one thing I do terribly. Oh, great. The other, I guess, if there's losers in this situation, is probably who's ever just a mediocre lineman interiorly. Parham, James. If there's one weakness of the Chip Kelly system is pass protection. Like he needs really good linemen. Like his system does not work with like some guys can like overcome mediocre lines. He needs a good line. So I imagine the Raiders are going to be super aggressive. Hopefully coming up, trying to get some guards. I think Jackson Powers-Johnson at center probably is where he'll stay. I feel Colton on the left. We'll see what they do on the right and with their guards, but they're going to get real aggressive. If you're a mediocre lineman on the Raiders, you better get in that weight room now because they're going to upgrade. And you're like it needs to be not just like this guy can work. Like it needs to be good. You need to be a good lineman to make Chip Kelly's system work.
A good thing about this draft class coming in, 3 out of the 4 things that we need. There's just an abundance of really good talent. Like you're going to see really, really good running backs in like the 5th round, which is nuts. It's crazy.
I think we're going to come with 2 running backs in this class.
Oh yeah, we need at least 2. Yeah, for sure. You're going to see that there's going to be like top quality running backs who can do everything, who can pick up blitzes, who can catch the ball out of the backfield, can run inside, go run outside. You can see a lot of these guys that are going to go because there's so many of them in this draft. Interior offensive linemen. There are so many college tackles that are going to get bumped inside in this draft class. Like crazy. There's so many interior offensive linemen in this draft class. And there's a lot of receivers too, which we need. We need all of that. Right? Mm-hmm. And I'm really interested to see how it breaks down in front of us because our first draft pick can really change how we draft the rest of the draft. And I'm really intrigued. I'm really intrigued by what's going to happen because I know that it's going to be clear. Like if you have seen the Tampa Bay Bucks draft the last few years, or if you see like the Eagles draft, like there is a clear path. That is an Eagles pick. That is an Eagles type player. This is, or you know exactly how they're going to fit in to the team. I'm wondering how that's going to work out with us this year and moving forward, like what direction and what kind of philosophy that we have on how to build the team.
So Aiden O'Connell, interior O-line, you got an uphill battle, boys, if you want to be a part of this, what's going to happen here. The big winners, I think it's obviously Brock Bowers. Just Chip Kelly scheming up. And Chip doesn't even really, not like a true tight end type offense, which is Brock. Like he's exactly that. Like he's like Chip doesn't really have like a true 50-50 big tight end he's had some in the past, but that's not what he leans on or like really requires or even seeks after. Like if he has one, he'll use them, but it's never been a dude that's just, 6'3", 280. I can block I can make any block you need. I can also run decent routes. He's like, Brock Bowers is built for the Chip Kelly offense. A guy that can line up in the backfield in the slot, next to 2 other tight ends out wide. Like, dude, Chip Kelly getting in the lab with Brock Bowers on his mind. I wish there was a webcam in there, just like how he's conjuring up stuff for Brock.
Well, him and Michael Mayer too, man. Like he uses these guys. I don't see Brock Bowers lining up as an inline tight end very often. If anything, he'll be like an H-back position or you'll be out in the slot somewhere. And if you can play, if you can contribute, if you're reliable, Chip Kelly's going to find a way to use you, and he's going to make you a part of the offense, not just a option or an option. He's going to make you a part of the offense. You know, even Jacoby Myers is going to be someone that, because he can do it all too. He can throw, he can pass. We saw it. We saw it at Ohio State. We saw it at UCLA. They had how many times did we see the receivers, you know, on a fake screen, take the fake screen pass behind the line of scrimmage and, you know, make a pass down the field. Mm-hmm. He's got all that stuff baked in. All that stuff's all in his offense, and it's not like, oh well, you know, it's a trick play or anything like that. Like, this is a part of the offense.
Yeah, I feel like last year they just kind of spammed Brock, and it's like, all right, Brock, get open, and he always did, as opposed to like, all right, we're gonna now make, like, Brock proved as a rookie, as the only offensive threat really on the field once Devontae was traded. Real, you know, Jacoby's good, but who are you scheming to stop? And it wasn't even like they were scheming him open cleverly. It was just Brock be Brock. Now you have Chip being like, all right, we're going to fake a handoff, fake a bubble screens, throw this, you know what I mean? Throw the slant to Brock with open, you know what I mean? Like, he broke all those records his rookie year under terrible conditions. Now imagine if we get some kind of upgrade at quarterback, Chip Kelly in that scheme. Like,
yeah,
he's going to shatter every record.
The offense is going to be better. There's no doubt about it.
So again, the ultimate question, as always with the Raiders, ever since Carr left, is what are we going to do at quarterback, and will it work? So obviously, like, the big question is like Will Howard, right? He's coming into the draft. Do the Raiders go after him because he played at Ohio State, where Chip Kelly was? That's a weird one, because I think if there's any quarterback where the mock drafters and experts just have no fucking clue where he's going, it's probably Will Howard, because he's got the national championship, right? He played on the best team in football. He looked amazing in the national championship game. Like, that was his best game of the season. He looked just like unstoppable. But he's had some off games. How much of it was just a great scheme with the best wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers, one of the best lines in football? How much of it was him? Like, he could go late first. He could go fourth. I don't know anybody who's like confident they know where Will Howard's going to go.
Well, that's what I was talking about last week. There's the first two quarterbacks, and I think the third quarterback emerging after the Senior Bowl is Jaxson Dart. He's a guy that Todd McShay talked really highly about. He said, I didn't think I was going to be a Jaxson Dart guy, but after the Senior Bowl, after watching him practice, watching him improve, getting more comfortable, watching him just kind of be that guy. I mean, Mel Kiper called him a baller. This was a baller. He goes out there and he just plays. Goes out there, performed really well during that week in the Senior Bowl. I think he's kind of separated himself, but still, there's that big chunk of like the McCords and the Howards and Dart, Quinn Ewers and Milrose. Like, there's a big just glob of guys that are. I mean, it's what's your flavor? You know, what are you looking for in a guy? Does this guy do it a little bit better than that guy? And then you just go from there. But yeah, you're right. It's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if someone traded back up for any one of those guys in the first round, or they went to like the middle of the third round. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
So, of all the quarterbacks that we could feasibly get, right? Free agency, draftable, guys that seem like they're tradable. Who do we like most for Chip Kelly?
Sam Darnold.
Sammy boy? I mean, he's just the best overall, right? You know what I mean? Like, the best, like, most proven. That's like gettable.
He has all of the traits that you're looking for that Chip Kelly wants. Now, can he be more consistent? We saw with the coaching that he received with Shanahan in that 1 year with the Niners, and then now when he had it with O'Connell in Minnesota, yeah, he can be consistent, but you have to be able to run the ball, and that's what Chip Kelly wants to do. When Minnesota got into problems the last two games that they played where they got beat, they just stopped running the ball, and that's Sam Darnold's not like a unique little snowflake when it comes to that, okay? Like most quarterbacks, when you can't run there's not many Josh Allens or Patrick Mahomes out there. Even the Chiefs run the ball a lot. But there's not many guys out there who could just take it and I'm going to throw it every single play. That's Josh Allen, dude. That's not normal. Most of the quarterback, if you take their running game away, they're a lot easier to defend. So Sam Darnold is a lot more mobile than people give him credit for. He can make all the throws. I think he's experienced enough to be able to handle this type of offense with no problem. And he's younger too. I mean, people want to say, "Oh, well, the Russell Wilson is not a scrambling, running type of quarterback anymore. He doesn't do that anymore. That's just not him. He hasn't been that for a while." I don't see that's why I'm saying Sam Darnold over a Russell Wilson as far as veterans, right? He's just not that running quarterback anymore. The whole let Russ cook thing was not him running around and running, for 20-yard runs. It was him scrambling around and throwing the ball. And he was at his best when he was able to run the RPO game in Seattle.
A lot of reasons to be optimistic, right? Still a lot of questions, right? We're going to get all super jacked and all super excited. If we don't land the quarterback, like what's the ceiling of this team, right? So that's still the giant, massive question, of course. There's a lot of questions still, but that's the biggest one. But as of right now, right, February 5th, 2025, with the things we can do at this point, we haven't drafted yet. We haven't gotten a quarterback yet. That's still yet. But up to this point, it's hard to imagine the offseason being much better. Nailed the head coach, nailed the coordinators, nailed kind of the rest of the staff. Mark Davis made an absolute statement, overpaying. It's like, hey, this is who we want. Money's not an option. Raider fans deserve better, and I'm going to pay for it to make sure they get it. That, I think, is the most important sign of the culture change that's going. I'm not talking about like just the locker room, good culture that AP had. I'm talking this from the top down, ownership to the janitor, to the ball boy. We are going to be excellent. I don't care what the price is. We're getting the best of the best every time. And it's like, I just love how Mark Davis is treating his team like how a mafia don treats his mistress. Louis Vuitton purse, Gucci shoes. Like, I don't care. We're gonna doll you up with whatever you want, full retail. I don't give a shit.
It's just when winning is the most important thing, above what you feel the culture of your franchise is, above what you think a move would have been that your dad would have done, above what people are telling you, above what fans are telling you. When winning is the most important thing, it makes things a lot clearer. And the question is always, who's the best person available? Who's the best person available for this position? Like you said, whether the ball boy or the locker room guy or security or the offensive coordinator or the quarterback, or who's the best person we can go out there and get? How do we go out there and get them? What's the edge that we can get above everybody else to get this person? If this is the guy that you're saying you need, if this is the best guy that's available, we go get the best guy.
It's a good sign.
Yeah.
Like that, like whether this works or not, this all is good signs for the future. It's brilliant. Speaking of getting the best guy available, the best defender available is available. Who'd have thought this? Myles Garrett. I think we can say best player in the world on defense. I think it's maybe debatable, but I think it's certainly, you have that conversation, he's up there. He wants out of the Cleveland Browns. I love how whenever these players do these like statements, they're like, I just love it here. The fans have been amazing. I'll never forget my time, but I want the fuck out. And that was what Myles Garrett just made very, very public. He wants out of Cleveland, citing the fact that they're just not, they just poorly run organization. We're not winning. I'm 29. I don't want to waste my talents on these losing teams. Like, we're way down by Deshaun Watson's contracts. Like, we just can't, we're not going to go anywhere, and he wants out. Imagine him lined up opposite Maxx Crosby. Soto, just imagine that for a little bit.
It would definitely be doubling down on your defensive line. It would send a really strong message too. But we're trying to win right now.
It would be on par with what the Raiders are doing now.
It's not out of the realm of possibility, is what I'm trying to say. It's not a pipe dream that we can have on the same defensive line, Christian Wilkins, Maxx Crosby, and Myles Garrett. We're not going to have much money for anything else.
Yeah.
So they have to perform really well. But it's a good place to start. It's a good problem to have.
I feel like Soto, you could be quarterback for the Raiders, and if we had that defensive line, we'd still be competitive with just about anybody. With just how dominant that is.
You're flirting with double-digit wins,
dude. Just with that D line alone. So I would say so. Again, not a pipe dream. There's going to be 15 teams reaching out to anyone who can even remotely afford him. Are going to be thinking about it and conjuring up some offers. So, well, the things going against us is everything Myles Garrett said has been an issue with the Raiders for a while, right? The Raiders haven't been winning, haven't won a playoff game in 20 years. Maxx Crosby publicly agreed with Myles Garrett. I get what you're saying. Like, he's literally saying your problem in Cleveland, I have here in Vegas, right? This was all before Pete Carroll got signed and the ownership adjustments and this new culture that we're starting to brew, right? But so that would be the biggest thing against it. But outside of that, Raiders have the draft capital to trade. They've got salary cap for days. We have a bunch of good defensive ends. Like we could, we'll have to trade, it looks like probably 2 firsts is what's going to cost for Myles, but maybe a first and we give them Tyree Wilson or some other DNs that we have to kind of juice it up and maybe have to do like a first and a fourth plus a DN. Like few teams could afford Myles Garrett like the Raiders.
True. It's just going to be interesting how that all is going to be structured. Because if you bring in Myles Garrett, you have to pay Maxx Crosby too. You have to rework his deal. So it's going to be
rework Myles Garrett's deal. You got to rework his deal too. That's 2.
Yeah. You got to rework a
2
lot
top
of
5 DNs you have to pay.
Mm-hmm. You got to pay him, man. It's one of the big 5 positions, so you got to pay him. If you want,
you got
to pay for it.
Yeah, like if we go rookie quarterback, we could, right? If we go Sam Darnold or something, I don't know if the cap will allow it. Probably still, even with how much cap space we have. But if we go rookie quarterback, we're one of the few teams in football that could pay a Maxx Crosby and a Myles Garrett, 2 prime all-world DNs. Like it's and again. It with how aggressive we just paid $6 million for an offensive coordinator. Like that wouldn't even be the most expensive, outrageous spending the Raiders have done this offseason if they picked up Myles Garrett. So Tom Brady is gearing up for the Super Bowl, and because of that, he's doing like his like the media tour that he does. He did a conference call on Wednesday. And the first question, not shockingly, is what's your role at the Raiders? And he said, my ownership interests in the Raiders is just much more of a long-term kind of behind-the-scenes type role. I'm there to support the team and leadership and the overall vision of success. And then he went on and just did like quarterback speak of stuff like that. I think he's full of shit. I think he's intricately involved with everything.
Definitely a lot more involved than he's letting on, which is fine. I mean, you don't want to tip your hand. It's no one else's business what the fuck he does. All right, that's his business. That's our business. That's not anyone else's business. So I don't have a problem with him kind of playing the okie doke and playing a little sly and stuff like that because it's no one else's business what he does.
I think it's not a lie. I said he was full of shit. That's a little strict. I don't think that's a lie because I think he is doing that. I think he is very much behind the scenes, very much overall vision. I think that is him for sure. But I think he's more hands-on than he's letting on. Right? Like he was already like obvious, like he was part of he was the coaching search. He was the guy. It's like, yeah, we're gonna have Brady call you and figure that out. Like, yeah, Brady's gonna call you and formally invite you and have that conversation. Like he was the point man for those things. So it's not like he's just kind of sitting on his, in his ivory tower being like, throw Ben Johnson a call. Let's send a text to Pete Carroll, see where that goes. He's like, no, I'm going to call Pete. I'm going to call Chip, and I'm going to convince him to come. Was he involved in like the numbers negotiations? Who knows? But I think Tom was lying by omission and not lying with what he said.
Definitely downplayed his influence. From what he was saying, it's like, oh, I'm just kind of like, giving suggestions. You're like, no. That's like a mob boss suggesting that, you get off, like in a casino. Yeah, maybe you should not do your TV show anymore. Well, if they say maybe you should, that means definitely don't do it anymore.
Or we're going to whack your ass.
Yeah.
We're doing some what at Windbags?
Yeah, man, let's get it done. Let's do it.
Solomon Mitchell. Thank you so much for being a member. I mean, you can't say that we have a better quarterback in-house, but not that psyched on Russell Wilson, to be totally honest. I think Solomon perfectly encapsulates exactly how we feel about Russell Wilson. It's like, yep, he's better than any quarterback we have. True. Very true. But it's hard to get excited for him. And I think that's probably like he may still end up being a Raider, the Pete Carroll, whatever. But that's literally exactly the case. He's okay. He's better than we have. But God, I'm not like, who's going to be doing backflips in the hallway that we signed Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I mean, better than we have is the old mentality. We have to stop looking at it in terms of compared to what we have. Who's the best we can get? That's the new mentality. Mm-hmm. And definitely that's not Russell Wilson.
Although it would be fun, Russell. It'd be fun on our end with Russell.
Fucking Russell.
Sam Demand, thank you again for being a member. Straight to the point. I like this. How many games do we win in the division next season? Hard to say because the division's only getting better, right? Like the Broncos are getting
at least a split.
Because the Broncos are getting out of that. Speaking of Russell Wilson, out of that contract, like they're starting to recover from the pains of that contract, so they're only going to get better. Their rookie quarterback's going to be 1 year better. Harbaugh his system is just now getting instituted with the Chargers. The Queefs clearly they're still going to be them. Like Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes aren't going anywhere, so the division's only getting better. But definitely the Raiders made a much bigger jump than any so far this offseason than the other three. So whether we're like clearing the gap, I don't know, but we definitely closed the gap more than the other three teams.
I think in one of the most important areas we've definitely cleared the gap, which is coaching. We're not going to get out coached by any of the guys, either offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. We're not going to get out schemed. We're going to be right there with everyone as far as that goes. It's just the talent.
It's not going to be a given that we're going to be out coached, right? Like, 1 week Andy will get one over on Pete. The next, Pete will get one over on Andy the next time. You know what I'm saying? It'll be a cat and mouse as opposed to like, all right, guys, make peace with the fact that AP is going to get out coached. We're going to have to win some other way. Like that's done.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely going to be on an even playing field when it comes to that.
If the over-under is 3.5 division wins, you taking the over or the under?
I'm taking the under. I think 3. 4-2 means we have to sweep 2 of them.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sorry. We have to sweep 1.
Sweep 1 and go 1-1.
Yeah.
Do you think any of the division teams take a step back? I think the Chiefs are going to take a giant step back just because you regress to the mean. Like all these coin flip magic sorcery wins they got this season, that's not sustainable.
That's not bounce of the ball, though. That's not luck of the draw. That's they're being given advantages that other teams aren't being given by the refs. It's documented. It's documented. I'm not talking out of school here.
Did you see the reporter with Patrick Mahomes on media day at the Super Bowl? He's like, Patrick, there's so many people that have helped you get to where you're at. You've had to lean on some great men to get you to this point. Which referee's your favorite? And I was like, nice. That's why I'm so glad that this narrative is going so hard, and the refs are starting to speak about it. Roger Goodell's starting to speak about it. The players are starting to speak about it.
Roger Goodell acknowledging it is massive, dude. Just the fact that he acknowledged it, the fact that he acknowledged it. Now, if it's that obvious again, it's not just going to be sports media that's going to be on top of it. It's going to be all media on top of it, especially at the Super Bowl. If Taylor, what's his name, the guy, the right tackle, the guy that the guy that false starts every single play because he snaps, he goes out early. It's just ridiculous, dude. It's going to be really tough if indeed there is a concentrated kind of plan to give the Chiefs advantages through like penalties or not calling penalties, or the 50-50 calls always going the Chiefs' way. If there is a plan, it's going to be a lot harder to conceal now.
That's why I'm so glad this narrative is going so hard Super Bowl week, because now the microscope is on them even more so. You know what I'm saying? Now, like the refs, Goodell, the powers that be, they're like, okay, guys, they've been on to us for a while, but now it's obvious. We can't get away with this anymore because there's just too much of a microscope on us.
Did you hear or did you watch the tight end that will remain nameless, like just kind of lose his shit a little bit when he was asked about it?
Mm-hmm.
He got all testy about it. You guys are still running with that? Like, come on, bro. Really?
Yeah. We're not still running with it.
Run with the truth. That's fine.
It's going to be the primary narrative going into the Super Bowl, whether you like it or not, because we're going to make it so. Like, it needs to be like, yeah, dude, you guys have been bailed out by the refs all season. We're watching. Don't do it again.
Yeah, it's like he's worse that we don't watch every single game.
Dom Grove 5. Nobody wanted Patrick Graham, so his only option was to come crawling back to us. Literally, we're the only ones he could be defensive coordinator for. He definitely wasn't getting a head coach job. He only got interviews to satisfy Rooney Rule. Let's not forget he turned down contract extension with us earlier. He already has 1 foot out the door. Well, the first part's just not true. I mean,
he could have had the Bengals DC job.
Yeah, like the Bengals he definitely could have had the Jaguars job. That came out late. That is like they were scrambling to get him. He could have had that job. I thought that's where he would go, was the Bengals. That's what I thought, because they fired their DC. They've got a great offense. I think Patrick Graham's like, dude, I could have Hendrickson and
Okay, look, this is what we know. Okay, fuck all this freaking like. If he wasn't so high in the running for the Jags job, he would have had the Bengals DC job. That we know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
We know for a fact that the Jags wanted PG and they were flying him in because Liam Cohen told him to go screw off. Now they fire Balky and then they were able to get Cohen back in on the slick. Okay, fine. But PG was going to get that job. So much so that they were going to hire PG. They wanted to hire PG as the defensive coordinator with the Jags after Cohen was hired. So
he had offers.
A bit of a bump. He stuck around. Yeah. It's a better situation for him to stay with a defense that he's helped build, and he already knows the guys. I think he understands that. Plus a little bit extra, Coke money on the side doesn't really hurt. What movie is that from?
Let us know. Comment section. Also, I think it hasn't been proven, but I think it makes perfect sense that there's like a succession plan in place where maybe Patrick Graham could take over.
I would love Patrick Graham to learn at the knee of Pete Carroll how to be a really good head coach, and to kind of pass it off to him.
And even if it's like whether they want to do it or not, I hope that's discussed to keep Patrick Graham around, right? Because you got Chip Kelly's not going anywhere because he's the highest paid coordinator in football, and he doesn't like. I don't think he wants to be a head coach, and it's proven he's not a good one, so he should stay. Patrick Graham, he'll keep getting, every season he's going to get offers. People the word's starting to get out how good of a DC he is. But if the carrot's out there where it's like you could be head coach here, make a home, hey, you're getting those no state sales tax in Vegas. You've built a home, you've been here a while, maybe it's grown on you a little bit. You got your favorite sushi spot. We can keep our guys. And
that's
all right. That's it. Yeah,
that's what you need. You need some continuity, and if you're going to help build something, you need to stick with what works. And that's how you build from within. That's how you build a strong franchise and organization. Is you have a similar mindset for a long period of time, and you take steps to get closer to that goal every single season. It doesn't work if your goal is a little convoluted or a little bit murky, or you don't take the steps to go towards that goal one season. If you kind of take a step back, you're going to lose a lot. So, here's, hopefully that we keep moving in the right direction, moving towards that goal.
If I'm Patrick Graham, like, I'll stay, but you have to sign Myles Garrett. I know it's kind of a pipe dream. It's not 0%.
It's not impossible, dude. And it's not
0%
even improbable either. It's possible.
We're one of the few teams that can afford him.
Yeah.
Something to think about. All right, that's it for us. Enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody. We all know why we're watching, just to get hammered and root for the Birds. Where are you watching the game?
My chicks have some people over.
I'll be at a
barbecue. And her son's a barber. He's gonna trim me up a little bit, clean me up.
I got my very first fancy haircut here in Sydney. He trimmed the beard, straight razored the sides. I've never done that before. It's I feel kind of baller. Might be a regular thing now.
Dude, you know what? I used to go to this little spot here, on was it on PCH? No. I think it was on PCH, right by where the old VIP records used to be. Mm-hmm. And I used to get those shaves, hot shaves, the towels and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Feels so good, dude. That feels so good because I got the little neck thing going. So
I've never had a real straight razor shave.
So,
you know what I mean?
It feels so good, dude.
The warm foam and you know what I mean?
Put that eucalyptus little towel on afterwards. It just cools everything. Oh, it's so nice, dude.
It's on my bucket list. I like my beard, but I'm gonna want
to go to a good spot. Paste it you can drink a beer and have a smoke after. There's some cool spots out there for sure.
Bullshit stuff. Who's better, Rocky Marciano or Muhammad Ali? Has some heated sports discussions. Can't wait.
Beat Joe Lewis's ass. Where's that from?
All right, guys. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Go Birds. We're all rooting for the Eagles, which is weird, but definitely that's the case. Until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.